Okay, so it says we are live. Let me just check our group. That feels
Sweet.
like too easy.
It's like a one button situation. Let's see. I haven't done it in
Um,
a group, just on a page, but
yeah. Well, and apparently in the group, it's not going to be able. Okay, we are here.
oh, I
So
just got a notification. You're live. Any
yeah.
group.
So I'm going to. I want to let me share. Pin to featured. Okay. Share, 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 share. Oh, here, I'll copy link. Um, hey guys, if you're hopping on, we are going to start in just 1 second. Just want to make sure I share it in the actual event. Okay, and maybe in that chat. Okay, so we are here, you guys. Thank you for joining. Those of you that are live, if you're on the replay, hello as well. Let me just pull up my notes here. Okay, so I'm Angela with Hot Mess Consulting. I'm sure you know me if you're here. We do branding and web design, and we've decided to partner with, we just have so many industry friends and everything. And like, we wanted to bring some other sorts of knowledge around our industry to you guys. So every month we're going to partner with someone. And this month is Logan, who she actually was a website client of ours, like almost like 4 or 5 years ago, probably.
Like 2019, I think.
Yeah, like Hot Mess was barely like a year old at that point. And so yeah, that's how we know Logan. And I'm actually super excited to be going to her office in Alabama with her and her team in
So
a couple weeks. We're gonna do like an operational overhaul because I've gotten really, really freaking good, you guys, at managing like the processes and systems and like tracking your metrics and holding your team accountable. Anyway, so we're working on that. I'm super excited. But
really like business consulting, honestly. Like it's saying like you found a system that works and now I'm gonna share it with other people because it's something every business struggles with. So we're so
yes, yes. And the main system is monday.com that we're going to be working on, but I mean there's going to be a lot to it. So Logan is with Talking Social now, and so why don't you just really quickly introduce who you are?
yeah, so I'm Logan McCabe. I own Talking Social along with my sister. I actually started the business back in 2019, which is really funny because I always thought I would just be running my jewelry business full time. It had a retail side, but mostly a lot of our clients came from wholesale. But I was in grad school getting my degree in digital and social media marketing, honestly, to further my own business. And throughout my time at Alabama, I was like, I think I can help other businesses do this. Like this is, the secret sauce to me is really being able to look at analytics and help people develop a plan that's going to work for them. And that's really what I learned in my master's program. And I was like, if this is working for me, I think it can work for a lot of other businesses as well. So I started freelancing in 2019 with no intentions of doing this full time, truly just to have some extra money to shop with all my friends that carried my jewelry. Because we all know working in the boutique space, it can get scary quickly with how many awesome things you find out there. And so I was just doing that. And then it quickly grew. And I think COVID really showed everyone the importance of not putting all your eggs in one basket as far as like pop-ups or your retail space or, even just like direct sales as far as like doing parties in people's houses. And so business really grew and we started specializing in women's boutiques and we've just grown from there.
I love that because it feels really similar to my story too. Like I started like with a goal of bringing in an extra $1,000 a month in revenue just to kind of supplement my boutique income a little bit sometimes, and I had no idea what was in store.
I
For
know it's crazy how things happen and things really get put into your path for a reason. And now we have, 50 women's boutiques that we work with every month. And, we are a women owned team, very similar to how you guys do everything at Hot Mess. And it's crazy just like how everyone in this industry paths overlap a lot. And it's just crazy. You don't really realize how much overlap there is until you start talking to other people.
yes, yes. So today we're going to talk specifically about organic social media analytics. And I have some questions I'm going to ask Logan, that we're
That's
going
okay.
to that we're going to chit chat about, and then we'll hopefully have some time for questions if anyone's on here and has any.
Cool.
I do want to say too that we, along with this workshop next week, we're going to run a giveaway in our group for her Facebook and Instagram audit, which is worth $500. So stay tuned if you want more information about that. We'll give you more information about that at the end, and the giveaway itself will be happening next week. But we'll share more about that. So let's just get into the questions. So the first one I had for Morgan was, Morgan, oh my God.
It's okay. You're
I
fine.
still get so freaking nervous, you guys.
No.
Like, oh my God. And this is the first time we're using this StreamYard, which apparently is no longer going to be available to use in groups starting
Yeah,
next
you've got a
month.
month. You've got a
Yeah.
month.
So I think it'll still work on pages.
Yeah,
So we'll
it
have
will.
to switch up how we're going to do it. But anyway, I can't believe I am butchering your name. That is like the
You're
easiest name too.
fine. Don't even stress it.
Okay. So what social platforms are you seeing the most success in right now? And what is your advice for the boutique owner who feels like they need to be on all the platforms?
Yes. Well, I will tell you that the biggest thing I hear over and over again in all these boutique communities that we all follow and subscribe to is you need to put something everywhere. You need to show up everywhere. And that's just not really the case, in my opinion. I'd rather see you nail 3 platforms and do them really, really well than spread yourself so thin that the content you're putting out there isn't relevant to your audience. And one thing that's so important about understanding your analytics is that your audience on Facebook is going to differ from Instagram, it's going to differ from TikTok, it's going to differ from Pinterest, and so on and so forth. And so you want to make sure the content you're putting out there is actually relevant to those audiences, because there's absolutely nothing worse than scrolling on Facebook or scrolling on Instagram and then me seeing something that's not relevant. So, for instance, TikTok, we're really targeting a younger demographic on TikTok. The audience tends to want a fast video, nothing really over 30 seconds long, something that's moving quickly, they understand. If I move that over to Facebook and post that content, the older audience on Facebook isn't really going to understand why I'm talking so fast, number one, while I'm getting straight to the point. They want to have more of an experience, more of a community, and that's completely different than TikTok. So you want to make sure that the content you're creating is relevant for each platform. But with that comes, having time to create that content and making sure that you're putting the right stuff out at the right time. So that's really where we come in for our clients. But it's important to know that you can't do it all. You're very busy. And as a business owner, we all know what goes into keeping a business afloat. So my biggest advice for any person who's working on their social media, whether you're in the boutique space or not, is just to really have grace with yourself. You're not going to be able to come out of the gates and do 100 million things great. And we'll talk more about our data audit later, but we always send suggestions, like 7 to 10 suggestions per platform. And whenever I have our call after I send those data audits, people are like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And it's like information paralysis. You're like, okay, I know everything that I can improve, but like, how do I actually do it? And it's all about just taking one measurable step. So if that's posting consistently every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like to me, that's a huge accomplishment for the month versus, saying I'm going to do this and I'm going to have the best hashtags and I'm retaking all my pictures and I'm redoing my website and, like that's just way too much. Like it's physically impossible to do all of that. And so just have grace with yourself, make one measurable, easy goal each month. And it'll make it so much easier to attain. But as far as the platforms we're seeing working for our clients, Instagram and TikTok are really always going to be our standout 2 for the next year, I would think, unless something crazy comes out new, which who knows? All of a sudden, it'll be a new platform that we have to learn and I'll adapt to, and that can be really fun. So right now it's Instagram and TikTok, but I don't I tell people to stay in their lanes that they know are working. Like if Facebook groups are your bread and butter, like let's not abandon that. Like let's take what we do really well and learn how to make it even better. And so if you're not on TikTok, but you know that you have an older demographic, TikTok just might not be your place, and that's okay. To me, it's all about just taking off little bites where you can. If you want to use TikTok as like a video editor, because it's a great video editing platform, make your videos on TikTok and then post them onto Facebook. But you can let them house in TikTok because you made it there. But don't feel like you have to have a cohesive, insane strategy for a platform that doesn't really fit your demographic.
I literally could not have said that better myself. Like, I
Yay.
agree with everything you said. It's a lot of stuff that I talk about a lot too. Like, it's better to be, really work one or two even platforms. Like,
Mhm.
three would be great, but even just one, like, get a stream of revenue going and focus
Yep.
on that platform versus putting your resources somewhere else, because then it's not going towards what you know is actually already working. And then, yes,
Exactly.
like every platform is different. And so, what's going to work on one isn't going to work on the other. But I love your tip at the end where it's like one thing you can do is like say that that like Facebook groups, just let's say Facebook groups is your absolute bread and butter. Okay, like
Mhm.
make all of your content focused on what's going to work there. But then, yes, it's okay to spend a little bit of time going ahead and taking that content and slapping it everywhere else. Like,
Exactly.
because sure, like if it doesn't resonate with people on TikTok and it doesn't get you much, it's no harm with just sharing it over there because you already
Mhm.
made it for the platform that works. What you don't want to do is do the other way around, where
Exactly.
you're working really hard to make it work for TikTok and then you're sharing it into your group and now it's no longer
Mhm.
working. Like
Yeah.
whatever is working, you want that to be your main focus. And then if you can reuse that content elsewhere, great. That's, it doesn't take a lot of time and energy. You can get an assistant to do that. That's
Yep.
kind of what we do here. Like we have our main places and sure, we're trying to also post it on Instagram, but like
Yeah.
we don't focus on Instagram.
Yeah.
So like we're just kind of
Well,
like,
and that's so interesting because like our main platform for talking social is Instagram. We that's how we recruit for jobs. That's how we reach current customers. Like it's so funny, but that tells you exactly my point is that every business is completely unique, and your strategy and your go-to platform is going to be different because your audience is different. And just
yeah,
because you might all sell Judy Blue jeans doesn't mean that your audience is going to be the same or that your social strategy needs to be the same because you're connecting with people where they are. And people shop with you because you're you. And so don't try to become someone that you're not just because you want to hit the newest TikTok trend.
yes, yes. And don't be afraid to have a platform that looks a little, dead, I guess you could say. Like it's not
Yeah.
the end of the world. Like I see a lot of people that do post on their personal Facebook and you wouldn't think like they're running a successful business, which that's another story for another day. Like you would never know necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's like they might be killing it on TikTok and they're just like you never know the story, you never know what's gonna work for you, and so just,
Exactly.
yeah, focus on what does work.
Yeah, stay in your lane, and
Yeah,
it doesn't mean you can't expand as you nail an area. Like if you're running Instagram and you're just like totally slaying, but you're ready to start building community on Facebook, like it's okay to know that that's going to take a little bit longer to grow, and that it's not your bread and butter. But like when you have time to devote to those things, like I think diversifying your platforms are great. But just know that it's not going to immediately grow to the size of your Instagram or the revenue that your Instagram builds. It's a long haul, and that's marketing, right?
yeah,
Unfortunately, I wish I
oh,
had a magic wand that could make everyone tons of money really quickly. But it's a slow roll.
yes, 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 it is. Okay, so I said for the top 1 to 2 platforms you mentioned, or just in general, whatever
Yeah.
you think, what are the 2 to 3 most important analytics to focus on?
Okay, so this is a loaded question because I think everyone's analytics are going to depend on what their goals are. So, like for instance, if we're running Facebook ads, to me, the best analytic to look at is return on ad spend. How much are we spending? How much are we profiting? Like to me, that's the bottom line. But sometimes in ads, people's goal is only to get page likes. Like, we're not trying to gain revenue. And while I don't always agree with that goal, sometimes brand awareness is the best move. And so if we're running a brand awareness campaign and we're working on growing and getting the name out there in the local community and getting people to come shop in store, I'm not really going to be able to track that return on ad spend. If you're really focused on building your local community and just growing page likes and page interactions, that analytic isn't really going to be relevant. We want to know how many people are coming in store, how many people are clicking. And while we can't track all of those things, we can kind of talk with our client to see, okay, do we feel like, in-store website or in-store traffic's growing? Do we feel like more people are sharing your current posts? Like, so we can look at things a little differently depending on your goal. But overall, saying you're trying to grow your Instagram, get more people engaged, send more people to your website. I think reach, engagement, and profile website clicks are the best things that you can monitor if you're sending people off the app, which in my opinion, that's the way we work with our clients, because I want you to get their email address. I want you to have them going on your website. So that we can retarget them in ads, or we can, just own their traffic, and that's going to your pixel versus just, sending them to your Facebook shop and then you're not owning really anything. Facebook's kind of taking that from you. So I think there's a time and a place for the shop. So don't get me wrong. But those are really the 3 analytics we look at consistently over time.
Nice. And it kind of goes into my next question, but it just popped in, is like, are there any specific tools or programs that you recommend to use to like monitor analytics or to like make it
Great
easier,
question.
or are you using the platforms organically?
Good question. So I recommend, so we have a lot of external analytics platforms that we subscribe to for our clients. We use Sched Social a lot. We have a few other more intense programs. But the number one thing that I tell all of my clients is that analytics exist and they're free. Like, you don't have to subscribe to Sched just to get those 3 analytics I was telling you about. Meta Business Suite will have all of that information for you. And you can also just get it directly in the app if you're using Instagram. And it's kind of insane how much information they give you just totally for free. So just tap around in there, see what you've got. I tell everyone, don't make any big changes. Like, if for some reason, like, your analytics say you're down, but you've got your time frame set to a week, like, we don't need to throw out our social strategy. It's spring break time. People are busy. Now, if we're down for a month, then yeah, we might need to look at some different options. So don't freak out when you're looking through your analytics if things say up or down. Just kind of take things and make it more of an average and see what the trends are over time. And that's really how you know when things are working or things are not. And when things are working because people are clicking the links you're putting in the stories. Things are getting traction. People are sharing. And you can look at all those things and say, okay, like, this post did really well. What did I do differently on this post? Was it how I wrote my caption? Did I share more than one image? Maybe it was a graphic. Maybe it was a funny quote. But what got people interested? And then use that more often in the types of content you create.
Yeah, I love that. And that was a really good tip. It like came in and went out, like, I hate that. Oh, well, maybe it'll come to me.
All good.
Okay, if a boutique owner hasn't been paying attention to their metrics, where or how would you suggest they start? Which you kind of started to go into, but like,
Yeah.
how do they set goals? How should they track and monitor? Like, should they make a spreadsheet to keep track of it all? Or, any other tips
Good
there?
question. So, yes, I would highly recommend writing, first of all, deciding what your goals are for that platform. So, if I use Facebook groups, what metrics are important to me? I'd write those down on a spreadsheet and I'd write down your starting point metrics. It's hard to forecast what metrics are going to look like. So I don't want you to say, I want my followers to be 20 million and we're starting with 1 million, or whatever the case might be. Like, that's not a smart goal. That's not something that we can measure. You're going to be really upset by that. I want you to look at more about how you can engage your current community and how engaging your current community will lead to more people. Because if we're attracting followers that aren't in our target market, they're just going to see your post but not make any purchases. So it's like, what's the point of that? They just took it away from that view of content from someone who really did want to see it and now aren't getting anything. So really take a look what you want your specific goals to be. And then I tell everyone, look at it as a percentage of increase. So I don't really want you to set your goal for X amount of followers. I want you to say that we're steadily increasing by 10% each month in followers, reach, engagement, or whatever the case might be for you. But having a measurable growth number in mind is great, but don't set it so rigid. Just look at increase and make sure you're increasing and following a path to overall goals versus being like, I didn't hit 20 million followers in a month, because organically that's going to be really hard to come by. But if you're moving in the right direction and you're engaging and you're reaching more people, followers are going to come. Just takes a little bit of time.
Yes. To circle back, that came back to me. So
good.
The point about not taking a bad week, like, to heart and thinking about like what's going on in your community, what's going on with the weather, what's going on politically. I mean, we never want to get like stuck in these stories or like in a negative way, but for example, we had a really slow week just in terms of engagement and lead call bookings and everything when everybody was in one of the most recent big markets for boutique owners. And like it is real and it does happen. And so like also I think tracking your goals and everything and metrics over time and like year over year and seeing patterns can really help you too, just to feel like a little bit less stressed and like understand. I mean, there's always going to be ebbs and flows, even when you're really doing everything you should be doing.
Exactly.
But
it's just kind of like if you were carrying, and I'm wearing my Judy blues and I'm so comfortable and that's why it keeps coming.
I love Judy blue.
They're the best. But it's just kind of like if you have a brick and mortar and your Judy blues just like didn't really move that week, being like, I'm just going to throw them out the window, even though I've sold a bunch of them over the last 2 years. Like, that's silly. So you're not going to just get rid of an entire product line because it didn't sell well one week. So I always tell people that are like on Instagram, off Instagram, or whatever platform. I'm like, why are you getting rid of it after just 1 week of things being a little slow? Like, that's just silly. So
definitely. And by the way, you guys, again, we will open up for questions at the end if any of you guys have any, but feel free to leave them in the meantime too. And
sweet.
Okay, so the big one, because I know one of the big things you do is help with paid ads on. Actually, what platforms do you help with paid ads on? Is it every platform?
So we currently do Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, and then we do TikTok. And then we are slowly expanding into Pinterest and Google. But it's just making sure we have the right systems in place.
Yes, that's so important. So in terms of paid ads, when is the right time for someone to actually start that adventure?
That's such a great question. And I see a lot of this question, particularly in the boutique hub, and people are like, okay, sales are down, I want to start running ads. First and foremost, you have to make sure you have a website that works. If your website is slow, if your website doesn't have good pictures, maybe your pictures are all different sizes, we're not going to have success running ads because it's a very visual experience. I'm not saying you have to have professional photography. Like a mirror selfie is totally sufficient. Actually, iPhone photos do the best in ads. So I prefer to work with people who do not have professional photography. But you want to make sure that you have a website that works, because if your links are broken or things don't work, or maybe it says that, at the bottom that your website was created in 2012, like let's update some things and make sure things are working and things are clickable. So that's the first step. Second step is making sure that you actually have some website traffic. So there's a variety of different things that play into your website traffic, but Facebook and your Facebook pixel are really going to pull from each other to make sure we're feeding your ads to the right people. So that specific targeting is so key. And if you don't have a lot of website traffic every day, and I don't mean like you need to have 1,000 hits every day, but like 100 people clicking through to your website that aren't in other countries that are in your target market, I feel like is a good place to start. We have a very different strategy when it comes to paid ads. We typically help smaller businesses scale. That's always been my heart and my passion. My parents are a small business. And I just kind of got them. I watched them go through a lot of marketing companies when I was a kid with no results. I mean, I think one time they spent like 30 grand and got nothing back from it. And watching that and going into marketing, I mean, I'm sure you feel this way, especially in website design, but there's so many people who can say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get you all this money. Be really leery of that.
Oh, I hate that. The magic
Drives
bullet
me
stuff.
insane. And even as someone who works in marketing, I get those emails. I'm like, are you even reading like who you're sending this to? Um, but my biggest advice is like understand that it's not an overnight thing. We tell people give it 3 months. If we can't get you great results in 3 months, then like there's something we can work on. But 3 months will really give you a good idea on if ads are going to be for you at this time. And for instance, like we have a swimwear brand. Like we don't really want to be running ads in September, October, November. No one's buying swimsuits, like unless you live in Hawaii and they've got, their own local brands to call upon. So you want to make sure that you've got things going up at the right time to the right people, and really just having someone that you can call and talk to and just say, is this something that would be worth my time? Because at least for us, our biggest goal is to make sure that you're going to be a long-term client. And so if we don't feel like now is the right time for you to run ads, we'll give you action items to say, okay, these are some things that you need to work on so that we can position you appropriately, and make sure that we're getting good results. Because if you're not ready, like that's not going to help anyone. And I'd rather you save your money or invest your money elsewhere if it's not the right time. And as a small business, when you're investing capital into something, like we understand that's coming out of your pocket at the end of the day as the business owner, and you might want to invest that in something else. And so I think just having someone you can talk to, that's going to be clear and concise and understand what your needs are, but also help you kind of shape what your needs are, is really key. So that's my biggest advice, is just talk to someone you can trust, get their opinion on where you're at, and talk to a few different people, because there are a lot of different providers in ads, and you might feel like you're a better fit, even just personality wise, with one provider over the other. And that's okay. Like that's what's going to have a long lasting relationship for you. And then
Yeah.
as far as budget, people always ask me, like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
do I need to have? And we have a very different strategy. Like I said, we help smaller businesses. So I'm not in the market of telling people to buy 30 packs of one item or spending $1,000 a day. It's just not. I don't think that's really sustainable, because we have to learn and figure out what this audience wants. And it might not be those tie-dye shirts that you bought 30 packs of. So we tell people we can work with what you have. Just make sure you have things photographed. And we recommend $250 a week in ad spend budget. So about $1,000 a month.
Yeah, you said so many important things, and again, a lot of what I say, as well as like one thing I like to say is, ads are to amplify rather than like amplify something that's already working.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you have to be blowing up or anything. I mean, there's a reason that you're wanting to do Facebook ads to scale, but like to use Facebook ads to fix something or to start something that's not working yet, like
Yes.
I mean, I have known people that have started a business primarily with Facebook ads rather than putting in the organic traction. Like, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
And the trial and error is going to be more just time and energy consuming and everything. And it's not what I suggest. Like, yeah,
Mm-mm. And your pixel just doesn't have much to work with. Like if we're targeting people all over in all different places and all different interests and budgets, like Facebook's saying, "Whoa, what's going on here? I don't know who to talk to," and so you're spending more money to get the same or lesser results until we can figure out where we want to go.
yeah,
So it just takes more time and more money. And if you already have something that's kind of moving in the right direction, we're going to be able to get you results much, much faster. But
yeah,
ads are not going to bail your business out. Ads are not here to help you pay off your credit card. And I don't mean that any way other than like, I think sometimes we get bad advice. And so I just bluntly, ads aren't going to help you turn that around, but it can be a tool to help you grow and, like you said, amplify what you've
Yeah.
got going on.
And I love your suggestion about like, not we're not saying you have to have 1,000 hits a day, but at least 100. Like that's kind of where because like we get a lot of people like just followers and friends and everything that
Yeah.
ask like, I'm bringing in a lot of traffic, but it's not resulting in sales. And that's
Mhm.
however they're bringing in the traffic, and
Yeah.
we get down to the nitty gritty and they're only bringing in like 20, 25 hits a day. Usually if it's that low, it is just, some of it is like bots, like you said,
Yeah.
in other countries, like just not actually your people, or they're, it's your grandma looking at your page 10 times. And like,
Yeah, gotta love the family supporters.
so like 20 hits a day, unfortunately, is kind of just like a baseline. Like you might be
Mhm.
able to get that not even really doing much at all, which
Yeah.
means that your marketing isn't working.
Yep.
And so you want to look at your organic marketing and get that up to 50 hits a day and then
Yeah.
100. And then at that point, it's like you should be bringing in more purchases. Your pixel is getting that data. And then that might be a better time to start something like Facebook ads.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And to me, that kind of circles back to moving people off your Facebook shop or sometimes off of your app because then your website can generate that data. And if ads really are your goal, don't send all your traffic to one place. And that again goes back to kind of COVID, and the lesson we learned there is like not putting your eggs all in one basket because you never know when things are going to change. So being able to have diversified traffic in a bunch of different ways, that's how you're going to ultimately reach your goals.
Yes. So I see we have some questions coming in. Let's see. Since
Yay.
you have worked with wholesale clients, what would you suggest for them if they're in the rebranding and focus on the specific products? What would be the best strategy to move the older products in bulk? This is pretty specific. And then what should be the primary focus when rebranding? Um, and I'm not sure if that's more geared towards me or you. We work with a ton of wholesale clients
Yeah,
on their websites. Do you work with wholesale clients from a
we
marketing
have a
perspective?
few social media wholesale clients. I would say like 5 or 6 out of the 50. So it's definitely not like the number one client that we see over
Yeah,
time. We definitely work with them.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's see.
Moving products is hard as a wholesale brand. I'll tell you, as a wholesaler that still has a lot of jewelry in her garage, moving things in bulk. I closed my business at the end of
Oh,
2022.
right. Yeah, you did the wholesale thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I closed it at the end of 22 just because I was like, I can't do 2 things at once. And major props to all businesses out there that have more than one business. That makes my
Oh,
head
it's
hurt.
so freaking hard.
Literally, I was like, this is not for me. I can't put my passion, like I'm sitting at markets working on social media. I'm like, what am I doing? And so I mean, it did take a come to Jesus from my family. They're like, Logan, you can't keep doing this. I'm like, yeah, I know. But anyway, so moving product is really stinking hard, especially in bulk. And a lot of times you get kind of in trouble when you go to do like liquidation things because you have boutiques who are carrying your products, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. So
Yeah, I'm trying to just think off the top. Might have to like think about this one and come back to it later. It's a little bit of a loaded question, I feel like.
yeah, it's pretty deep there.
Yeah, rebranding. Let You know what? Let me let me get back to you when I have a little bit more headspace. I'll respond on the post later. Are ads or email marketing better?
Ooh, okay. So I think they're a combination. I think you have to have both in order to have an effective. Well, okay. If you're going to run ads, you have to have a really effective email strategy because we want people to have really good abandoned cart emails. We want people to have things that are set up appropriately so that if they don't convert on an ad, they're going to be served that in their emails. But for email marketing, you don't need ads to have good email marketing. To me, that's a step that you need before you start running ads. So,
Yeah.
and just showing up at least once or twice a week to your audience, it's going to make such a huge difference in just building that social community.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you guys offer marketing email campaigns too, or
We do. So we offer weekly campaigns. We do not do email flows. We refer all of that out, but we do the weekly email campaigns. And ours are pretty targeted as far as design goes. So we really like to lean in and create, like an anthropology-like feel. So when you're scrolling, you understand, what you're looking at. It's pretty. It's fun to look at. And so we design each aspect of the email that way.
nice, nice, nice.
It's really fun. We love it.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely like because anytime that you're paying money for something like Facebook ads or Instagram ads, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're using the other resources that you can to like continue to speak to that person, to gather their information. Because otherwise you're spending all this money, but then like I mean, because people aren't going to buy necessarily the first time they land on your site,
No,
like
and that's very rare. Like if someone's buying the first time that they're served your ad, either they've heard of you outside of it, a friend commented on it, said they've like understood, like, this isn't a scam company, or they're just an impulse purchaser, which I can be an impulse purchaser with the right type of product.
yeah.
Typically, I like to see it a few times, read some reviews, and understand like why I'm buying from them. So it's just important to keep that in mind that it takes about 5 to 7 times of someone to see something or a brand name before they make a purchase. And so in school, they called it omni-channel marketing, but you want to hit as many different types of channels as you can.
Yes, yes. And that's like it goes along with how your website is so important because again,
Mhm.
they land on your website and are you gathering their phone number and email? Are
Exactly.
you presenting like is it cohesive like what they see on your social? Like what brought them in? And is that the exact same feel and voice and messaging and everything as on your website? Because otherwise they're gonna feel that friction and it's
Yeah.
gonna be like they're gonna think it's untrustworthy, they're gonna be
Yeah.
confused, they're not going to trust you, and then also like are all those trust factors there like social proof, reviews,
And what's your healthy
pricing
customers
information.
use? Like if
Yeah.
I went to a page and it doesn't look cohesive and my ads got this really pretty graphic, but my website is old and hasn't been updated in a while, and the pictures still have Chevron in them. Whatever the case.
Ah, Chevron, I
I
never
think it's
thought
making a comeback, Angela. Like I am
no.
seeing it out there, and I'm like, this is not what I'm
I
subscribing.
will say though, like some of the things like flares and cargo pants, like okay, so how I am with trends, okay, this is total side topic, so I'll make it quick, but how I am with trends is that like personally is that like I resist it when it first starts to pop back up again. I'm like, "No, no, we cannot go back to that." And then I do eventually come around. Like, I'm pretty late to the party,
It's
but once I get
hilarious.
to the party, I'm totally rocking it. But Chevron I never liked, so I don't think I will ever like.
I really don't want to see it come back. Even when I recently built a townhome, and I guess it's almost been a year now, which is crazy.
Oh,
But I was
wow.
picking out backsplash, and they were like, "Okay, we can put it in this like herringbone pattern." I was like, "No, do not put chevron in my kitchen. I do not want to see it." Like, whatever. I ended up almost going with it after they showed it to me, but anyways, I don't know. It gave me major flashbacks that I did not want.
Oh my
I was
god,
like,
so
do I need to bump it too to like do up my hair? I live in the South. Can you tell?
And also just on email marketing, just like period, you should just always be doing it. Like
Yeah.
everybody should be doing it. There is no like it's something very easy. You can
Mhm.
have like even someone in-house do it at a small hourly rate. Like it's not
Yep.
like absolutely should be doing it. Okay, when doing photos, should you pay to have them done professionally or get a good edit app? I actually think Logan and I might have different. Well, I'm not against
Goals are
self.
different. I think
It's
goals
like
are different.
whatever works for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, and I think like for the front page of your website, you need to have professional photography. Like it's going to like be different. But I know from a social media perspective, we get better clicks and things on iPhone photos. But that's not a like, super zoomed in, unedited raw picture. We still do edits for our clients, and make sure that it's, appropriate as far as like where they're standing and things like that. But we just see more interaction on socials that way and on ads. But all things to keep in mind, because websites definitely aren't my forte.
No.
I run. People are like, who can do a website? I'm like, I've got a girl, but it's not me.
I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's on social or on your website, like you want to do what works. So
Yeah.
like a lot of it is trial and error. And if for some reason, like I used to use the term dirty mirror selfie.
So true. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and which is different than like I've had some clients that take like beautiful selfies like in their store, and I mean it almost looks professional because iPhones are great these days.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So yeah. But even if you're in front of a dirty mirror and you can tell like there are clients like that works for them. And like if that works for them, that's all that matters. Nothing else really matters. Like so especially on social, it's a chance for you to try out different things, try out a flat lay, try out something super professional and pose. I mean, my preference is if you're doing professional that it's more lifestyle based, which I mean for your website, like your homepage, like your banner, I mean that should be really lifestyle, but obviously still focused on the products that you're carrying. Product photos should still be lifestyle, but where it's clear. I mean, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Like you just don't want to stand in like a cheerleader pose and like
Right.
or the exact same pose. And even if you're like, I actually am not even a fan of having the exact same background. Like, say that you're in front of a specific
Really?
light pink wall, like just as
Yeah.
an example.
Uh-huh.
It's not that you can't always be in front of that wall. I do like the cohesion, but I'm saying move around the room a little bit. You know
So
what I
true.
mean?
I
So
totally
that
get
it's not so it's the same scene, but it's not exactly the same.
it. Doesn't feel like you edited yourself onto a Canva background. Is that what you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But photos, yeah, there's a lot to go into there. But yeah, again, it's just like what works for you at the end of the day. And iPhones are amazing these days in terms of the quality and yeah.
I just feel like it gets in ads for some reason just prioritized in the algorithm. It's weird. I really couldn't tell you why, but
Well, if it looks too professional, then like it's clear that it's an ad and it's
yeah.
clear that it's like
So
and if it's like, because people like these days want to know, like, and trust and resonate like with the people that they're shopping with. And so
yeah.
if it's a selfie, like they really feel like, oh, this is just like a normal human being like I
So
am, a
so
normal mom or, whatever it is.
yeah.
Um Okay, so where do you start to work to get that consistency each day to the website of at least 100 hits? That's something I was like kind of thinking about when we're talking about that. I have a very low number and only have larger numbers when there is a promotion. I just finished my website upgrade with Hot Mess, so I'm ready to get more people to my new site. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, like getting to 100 hits a day can be really hard. Like it's actually easier to keep growing once you have that traction. But what you're talking about is really getting that initial traction. And it's definitely not easy. Do you have any tips to start with on that, Logan?
Yeah, so again, have grace with yourself because it is hard and there are going to be days that you get, 200 and there's going to be days where you get 30 and it doesn't feel consistent and it can make you feel like you want to jam your head through a wall. But my biggest advice would be to drive as many people as you can to your website. So like in your group, for instance, instead of saying comment, let me send you an invoice, say, go check it out. Here's the link. And mix those in with the way your shopper is used to shopping. Like obviously, like let's not reinvent the wheel. Like I don't want your sales to plummet if people don't want to go to your website. But it's something to mix in and add into your typical strategy. And then I would just be doing the best you can to make it easy for people to shop the website. So dropping QR codes, telling people how to go there, giving them a reason why to shop the website. Like maybe you have an app, but maybe there's an exclusive website coupon code you can drop one day. And then people are like, wow, this website's really pretty and really easy to use. I know one of our clients recently got their website redone by Angela, and I really prefer shopping her website versus her app because her website tells me what the fit is, and it's got a little bar and it shows me like, okay, this is going to fit more true to size, this is a little bit more oversized. And so for me, I can get all the information I want, if not more information, in a visually appealing way on the website versus the app. And so I spend a lot of time going directly to her website. And so it's just training your customers and showing them how easy it is to use. And you can make some videos like, hey, y'all, check this out. Or one year we did an Easter egg hunt, literally on one of my clients' websites. Like we took a few of her product graphics, uploaded them into Canva in the right size, make sure they're the right size, and literally put like a little Easter egg on it. And if you sent us a screenshot with one of the Easter eggs you found, it's a coupon code and we would tell it to you. So there's a lot of cool different things you can do to get people going to your website. But once you train them and show them how much easier your website is to use, I promise people are going to be going over there. So it's a long-term goal.
Yeah.
But
And make sure too that you are actually sharing your links. Like I can't tell you how many times I see somebody post, and whether this is their personal page or their, actual business page, like they post something and they literally don't even share a link. Like I've seen where like I want to buy that item. There's no link. I'm not going to like try to figure out how to get to their homepage and then try to get to their product page on top of that. Because that's another thing is if you're sharing a specific item, don't just share your homepage or even that collection. Share those to those specific items. If you're sharing multiple items, either tag those items if it's on your page, or that's still allowed, right? Like there's so many platform changes. Okay, there was something I thought I heard recently about tags, and I don't know.
Well, it's a little harder to tag products.
Well, they want you to utilize their shop, probably.
Well, but even that, they've disabled it. So it's this whole mess. But it's available for some people and not for others. And you can use them in stories, but not on feed posts for the people who do get that feature taken away.
Yeah, so for example, when I used to announce my new arrivals, I think the Boutique Hub has talked about this and they call it a recap post. And I started doing that. And so like say once a week, I would drip them out over the week, but then at the end of the week, I'd be like, hey, did you catch our new arrivals? Here they are. So I would have a picture, 10 pictures, for example. And then, the main post would have some links and then everything was tagged. And then if you click on each photo in the description for each photo, I would link out separately, grab the top here, make it as easy as possible. Take that time and focus on dropping your link everywhere that you can.
Yes. Well, and it's like, who wants to take the extra time to take 10 extra steps? I don't have time, or honestly, I don't want to have time. Like when I'm scrolling my phone, I'm just sitting there, I'm relaxing. You're catching me in my time of scrolling my phone. So why make me take 10 steps to buy something? Because I just want to go ding, ding, yay, it's coming, and I can write it. I don't know if anyone else does this, but I have this is gonna expose me. I have a list of things that I'm expecting to come in the mail. So I'm excited when I order something, I can put it on my notes. So I actually make sure I get it. But I guess that's part of living in an apartment for so long. Things never got to my house.
Yeah.
It was the worst. Well, or other people would take it out of my locker. Anyways, that's a whole another tangent. But just make it easy for the client. That's at the end of the day, who wants to take an extra 10 steps?
And on your personal profile, if you're not linking your business page and your website, why? I want to scream it from the rooftops.
Yes, and I will tell you, I have fallen into that trap, and recently, this week.
Oh,
I know, it's so bad. I had my boho babe stuff tagged, and I was like, I don't even own that business anymore. But I just forgot to check my bio. So use this as a recommendation.
It's the whole personal branding thing too, and I totally get that some people just don't want to do it, but I don't know, man. I've built my businesses, all of them, off of it. And I know that there are absolutely other ways. And there's also disadvantages to doing it because sometimes I feel like my whole page is just a business page at this point, and what's left for me, So that's
people know that. I don't know. I feel like people that I talk to know that I own a business, and when they need something, they know where to come, or they
Exactly. You
know
want
where
to
to
stay
ask
top of
advice.
mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, sometimes it stinks to always feel like you're only can put out content that is appropriate, but just know, like, especially when you're working directly with business owners like we both are, um, people do want that experience and they want to get to know you and they want to know that they're not supporting a huge company all the time. Because as much as I enjoy getting fast finds on Amazon, like a new phone charger or whatever, it's like shopping at Walmart. Like I have no personal connection. And to me, the personal connection is why people shop small. And so give people the opportunity to shop small, and that's by putting your face on it. So I'm totally down with personal branding.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I forget myself sometimes. I'm
Well,
so
and
used to
it's
building
hard.
other people's personal brands.
Yes, and it's hard when you're in the weeds, and that's one of the reasons why it's so important not to stay in the weeds, to have that space and time, like, to be the CEO and to work
Yeah.
on these things.
Yeah, I
Um,
totally agree.
what is the best email provider wanting to change from Klaviyo?
Oh, really? Changing from Klaviyo,
Yeah,
claiming a lot.
most people I mean, Klaviyo is pretty much the industry standard big hitter.
Yeah,
I
they
guess
sent
I'm
me a
curious
cup
if
this
you have
year. They
any.
sent me a Stanley cup. Did you get one of
Oh,
these?
nice. No,
I
we're a
don't
pretty
know why.
small partner with them. Oh, they just sent it to you?
Yeah, I got a sweatshirt and a cup. I
Oh,
think
that's
somehow
awesome.
my parents, so my dad, we've done his marketing for a long time, and I think somehow I got put on their account, but because I get all this free swag, I don't know
That's
why.
awesome. Plus
But
the
anyways,
Stanley
I'm a big
Cups. Oh my
Klaviyo.
god.
What'd you say?
Plus the Stanley Cups. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm embarrassed. When you come here, you're gonna be like, this girl has a different color cup every day.
Oh
Um,
my god, how funny.
yeah, I bought into the hype. That's for sure. I liked being able to find a color that no one else had. But anyways, that's me.
Uh, yes, I never got the email host thing changed to update my sender address and I can't figure it out. Is that why you want to leave Klaviyo? Because that is not the reason why to leave Klaviyo.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
gonna happen no
misunderstood.
matter what platform you're on. So it's not gonna be easier with any other platform.
No.
I don't know if Logan we offer it for like, well, it's if you really only need the DMARC, it's 15 bucks or sorry, 40 bucks for 15 minutes. But normally you need a bunch of other stuff, so then we charge a little bit more. But we bottom line, we don't charge a ton to help with it. It is easy enough, but like I also know like
Yeah.
I mean, for example, you try to get me to set up a printer. No. Like I can't do it. Okay. I can do all this other stuff. I have a block with the printer. So I get like if you have an issue, but absolutely that is no reason to leave Klaviyo. You just need to get that sorted out.
Well,
Uh,
and when you watch Angela do it, you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, this was ridiculously easy." But sometimes, like the way that they presented this whole DMARC thing, in my opinion, was very confusing and misleading. No one really gave straight up information, and no one really said this is coming. Like all of a sudden, it was like, "Have your DMARC," and no one really understood. So I think the way they presented it was very confusing. And then when you're watching Angela do it, you'll have a really good tool in case you need it for the future.
Yeah, and guys, yeah, something small like that, like, do not spend days on it. Like, think about that energy and headspace and, like, frustration and time, like,
Mhm.
could have been spent on way better things. That's when it's worth it to spend, 50, 75, $100 to just, like, "Here, get this done." You know it needs to be done, like
Done right by people who do it all day long, um, because it's going to take them, number one, a heck of a lot less time, but you also know it's going to be working the right way.
yes, totally. Let's see. Okay, so there was a question in our event chat
Cool.
from Gina, and it was how to find an individual or company that gets what she's trying to accomplish. Which in my like basically how I'm hearing this is like how do we find the right person or agency, right? And then she
Yeah.
says that she loves Sonoma County, which is where I'm from
I
actually,
love it.
which is in California.
Yeah.
And she'd like to keep her money local. But I responded to her in the chat. What I kind of said was like, local is cool. I mean, I'm not saying not to do local. I'm not saying there's not anyone available local. But what really matters is what's best for your business. So like I'm not saying like maybe start with a local search.
For
Sure, that's
sure.
fine.
Yeah.
But don't, don't make that the end all be all. Like, don't not work with someone in another state just because you want to keep your money local. What matters is what's truly best for your business. Because I've actually seen this go wrong where I've heard a lot of people, like I've had a lot of people come for their website and they were like, even ones that talked with us initially were gonna work with us, but they decided, oh, well, my sister's husband does this, or oh, but my I found someone local that does this. Like, that's not in any way better for you. You could find someone local that's
Yes. Interview. That's my biggest advice. Interview, talk to people, ask them about your goals, tell them, and ask, like, are you a specialist in e-commerce? Are you a specialist? Do you have women's boutiques that you've done websites or social media for? Do you have a children's boutique? Like, talk about your specific industry and interview multiple people, because in my opinion, and maybe this is kind of woo-woo, but I get a feeling when I'm working with someone that it's the right fit for me. It's a gut instinct. I understand that, like, that's going to work. And so that's my biggest advice, is just find someone that you can ask questions and trust. Because to me, when anyone's working in your business, the biggest thing that you need is trust. And when you just hit it off in the first or second call, like, you know that that's going to work for you. And that's just my biggest advice. It's like, interview, ask those questions, get examples of work they've done. Any professional has a portfolio. If they don't have a portfolio, it might not be the best fit. And I'm not saying don't give people who are starting out a chance, but just keep that in the back of your mind when you're working with them, because portfolios, examples, statistics, that's the best thing that a marketing professional in any field can share with you.
And also, like, part of her question was how does she find a person or a company that gets what she's trying to accomplish? So my question was, do you truly understand what you're trying to accomplish? Like, do you have goals set out? Do you know what you need? Have you outlined it? Like, do you know what already works for you? Because here's another thing that's different too, is like, there's two different times, maybe more, but in my mind, there's two times that you can be outsourcing social media. Okay. One is, you know what works, it's working, but you don't want to do it anymore. You want help, you want to outsource it. And that's a really great time to outsource it, because you already know what works. You can give all of that information, like a playbook, to whoever's going to be helping you, so that they can build upon that and not lose any traction. The other scenario is that you don't know what works, you don't know what you need, you don't know what your goals are, and you're expecting a person or company to come in and figure all of that out for you. And some companies will do that. And this is the thing, there's a difference. Like,
that's what I have to say. There's a huge difference between the two, and the types of companies that are doing them. To me, the first option can totally be an outsourced virtual assistant experience. And I would tell you, you'd be overpaying for what we would do for you, because that's, like, for us, like, what you're paying us for is to figure out what's working, looking at your analytics, making consistent adjustments, staying up on social media trends. And so there's just a big difference in the types of companies that provide the two services.
Well, and that's looking at it from one angle, but another angle is, if you really need what I get it again, Logan. If you really need what Logan offers, right? Like, you really need to figure all of that stuff out.
Yeah.
But you're hiring a VA at $15 to $20 an hour, like, they're just going to post. Like, they're not, ask, like, are they going to look at analytics? Are they going to send you any kind of, like, reports?
Right.
Or how are you communicating on how things are going? Are you going to get feedback so that, like, you can work on other parts of your business that maybe need to be worked on along with, the marketing in order to get it to work better? Like, so make sure you're really clear on what you really need. Because if it is that you really don't know, then you really then cannot just hire anyone, because you're not going to be able to, like, a true VA. Now, there are some amazing VAs out there that might actually be able to work on strategy with you. Absolutely. They're out there.
For sure.
But when I hear VA, generally it's somebody that isn't going to do that strategy piece. They're just going to do what you tell them to do.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, how can you tell them?
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes it's just helpful to take a day where you can separate yourself from everything else going on in the business. And it's hard. It's really hard when me and my sister do this, like where you have to say, like, okay, I'm just going to shut off for the day and truly just plan. Like, what are my missions? What are my goals? And, that's not to say we're doing it perfectly by any means. That's why Angela's coming in. Um, but,
I was
it gives you
we're
at
about
least
to do that in a big way.
I know. My little sister's like, I'm nervous. I'm like, don't be nervous, but it's going to be a lot of change. But I'm excited for it. But
Oh
anyways,
yeah, I was like, listen, this is going to be a lot of work. Like, are you ready for it? Are you going to have the time for me? Like,
we've got the whole week blocked off. And I don't think we told you, but we scheduled a fun team building activity for Friday.
oh,
We are across the street from a cinnamon roll company, and
ooh,
they're going to teach us how to make cinnamon rolls.
oh, how fun.
Yeah, so we got you a spot.
I have actually, like, I always watch those videos, like on TikTok, and I'm like,
Yeah,
it looks so easy and simple, but I'm
right?
like,
It probably won't be, but we're excited to try. So
yes.
me and Angela will report back if we're good cinnamon roll makers. But
Another thing with outsourcing is not always, but like, ideally, like it would be good if they had some experience in your actual industry.
yes,
It
it's
does make a really
huge.
big difference.
Yeah, it does because it just. I mean, I feel like. I mean, again, I'm speaking for you. Oh, well, I can speak for myself. Doing social media for a women's boutique or doing social media for, we have like my dad's a sports psychologist, and it kind of just comes with the territory of being his kid. He can't use another marketing company, so I do his social media. And as a sports psychologist, his stuff is so different than a women's boutique, and the way we talk and the, how often we're posting and all those things. It's a totally different world.
Yeah, and some, have multiple industries that they work in. So, like, for example, there are a handful of industries that we would be happy to work with,
Yeah, us
on,
too.
but, you know so just ask, but I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, if they really, really don't have any experience and even anywhere in that realm, it might be hard for them to get it right, especially there's not as much copy needed for a website. I mean, there obviously is copy, but like the copy is more critical on social media. So you really need to make sure that they can understand your ideal customer, speak to them, all that kind of stuff. Um,
agree.
so okay, and so we're still here. Oh, we're just about at 9. Okay, so we are gonna wrap up anyway. If you guys have any final last questions, leave them, or if you're watching the replay, leave them, and Logan and I will
Right.
come back and comment and answer. So just really quickly, is there anything? Well, not really quickly. I have time, but I don't know where you're at. So
No,
if you is there anything else you want to explain about your business? Like, how can people follow you if they
great
want
question.
to? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so talkingsocialllc.com is our website. I hate that there are 3 L's in a row, but that's just where we're at. So when you're typing it, no, that is not a typo. Logan at talkingsocialllc.com is my email. I'd love to chat, see if we're a good fit, or even just answer any random questions you might have. Know that that's always what we do. That's truly our heart, and why we do what we do is to help small business. So even if you think it's a silly question, I guarantee you it's already been asked. Feel free to shoot it my way. It's what I do all day long is talk to customers and future customers. So feel free to shoot them my direction. We're on Instagram, Talking Social LLC, and you can follow us there. And we share a lot of tips and things that we're doing. So between the 3 places, you can reach me at any of them.
Cool, cool, cool. And then the giveaway. So
Yes, I'm so excited.
so it's a Facebook and Instagram audit. It's usually $500. And so basically this upcoming Monday, so today's Friday, right? Yeah. So just in a few days, I'm going to post in our group with what you have to comment on the post in order to enter. So watch out for that. I'll try to send out an email and reminders and stuff too, but you'll want to watch out for that. So what exactly is this audit?
Great question. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through your Instagram and your Facebook, and we're going to pull all the data that we can see for, the past 30 days and compile it just like we do for our clients in an easy to read format. So you'll know where your followers are located, how old they are, the percentage of male to female, all the things. And then we'll send that to you along with 7 to 10 suggestions on how you can make your social media better. So some will be simple, like you need to update your highlights, or maybe your bio is kind of confusing to read, all the way to specifics like here's a great posting schedule that we think would be helpful for you to increase your reach and engagement. And so we'll work on that. And then you'll also receive a 30-minute coaching call from us where you can call and ask specific questions you have about the report you receive. And typically those calls are more about how you implement those strategies and any tips that we can do to help you with that.
Nice. Love
Yeah.
that. Love that.
Yeah, it's our favorite product because it really puts, we have a lot of boutiques who like to keep it in-house, and we think that's great, but it allows us to still help you understand how to read your data to implement the right types of decisions.
Love it. Love it. Well, I think that is it. I
This has
am
been so fun. Thanks for having
yeah.
me.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me and sharing
Yeah.
your juicy knowledge.
Well, I don't know how juicy, but I'm always happy to help. And thank you for what you guys do in the community as well. Obviously, what we do go hand in hand. And so it's always nice to be able to have a great referral partner. So
Yes,
thank you.
definitely. All right, you guys, again, if you're still on here, thank you for joining. And please do, if you have questions pop up later, reach out to one of us, or especially just comment on this post and we will get back to you. All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.